Let me paint a picture for you. You're standing in the dealership parking lot, the smell of new leather still in your nostrils, keys to a brand new car clenched in your sweaty palm. You just signed a 72-month financing contract. 6 years, 72 payments of $650. Your heart is racing, and there's this tight knot in your chest that you're trying to ignore. But you smile anyway, because tomorrow morning, you're going to post that carefully framed photo on Instagram. You know, the one where the car just happens to be in the background while you're holding your coffee, looking casual, like you didn't spend 20 minutes getting the angle right. Your coworkers are going to see it. That cousin who always seems to be winning at life is going to see it. And for maybe 3-4 days tops, you're going to feel like you finally made it. Like you're somebody. But then, night comes. You're alone in your apartment, phone glowing in the dark, and you open your banking app. You do the math. Salary minus car payment minus rent minus that credit card balance that never seems to hit zero no matter how much you pay. And that's when it hits you. That sinking feeling in your gut. You didn't buy a car, you bought a prison. A prison with heated seats and a premium sound system, but a prison nonetheless. You're trapped, and the walls are closing in, $650 at a time. My name is Sam, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make terrible financial decisions so you don't have to. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing I need you to understand right now. This isn't your fault. You're not weak, you're not stupid, and you're not alone. You're fighting against something that has been engineered specifically to exploit the deepest, most primitive parts of your brain. It has a name. Economists call it performative consumption, but I call it what it really is: the middle-class trap. It's the psychological prison that convinces you to buy things you don't actually need with money you don't actually have to impress people you don't actually like. And social media has turned this trap into a laser-guided weapon aimed directly at your insecurities. Think about it. You're not comparing your life to your neighbors anymore. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone's highlight reel. Your college roommate posts pictures from Bali. Your high school acquaintance just bought a house with a 3-car garage. That guy you met once at a networking event is wearing a Rolex in his LinkedIn photo. And your brain, your beautiful, flawed, human brain, is screaming at you that you're falling behind, that you're not enough, that you need to catch up. The financial system saw this vulnerability and weaponized it. They normalized debt. They made 72-month car loans sound reasonable. They created financing options with names like zero down, zero interest, making it sound like free money. They trained an entire generation to believe that success isn't about being free. It's about looking rich. Now let me introduce you to the concept that explains exactly what's happening to you. It's called signaling theory, and it won the economist Michael Spence a Nobel Prize back in 2001. Here's how it works. Spence discovered that humans don't just buy things for their utility, for what they actually do. We buy things as signals. We use consumption as a language to communicate our status, our worth, our place in the social hierarchy. That car you bought, you didn't buy it because you needed transportation. You could have gotten a reliable used sedan for $15,000 cash. You bought it because you needed to send a signal that says, I'm successful, I'm worthy, I matter. The problem is, everyone else is doing the exact same thing, and the cost of sending that signal keeps going up. Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, summed it up perfectly when he said, "We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like." And the research backs this up in brutal ways. Studies on middle-class spending patterns show that people are stretching themselves to the breaking point, trying to maintain appearances. The bottom 90% of American households have been falling into debt, while the top 1% have been accumulating assets. And here's the sick part. The savings of the rich are being recycled by the financial system into loans for the poor and middle class. You're literally paying interest to rich people so you can afford to look like you're not struggling. The system has turned your insecurity into their passive income stream. Let's do the math, because this is where it gets really painful. Let's say you're Michael. You're 32 years old, you make $5,500 a month, and you just financed a $44,000 car over 72 months. Based on current data, your monthly payment is about $763 with a 7.6% interest rate. Over 6 years, you're going to pay a total of approximately $54,900. That's almost $10,000 in pure interest alone. $10,000 that you're handing to a bank for the privilege of driving a depreciating asset. But wait, it gets worse. Let's run a different scenario. What if, instead of buying that $45,000 car, you bought a reliable used car for $15,000 in cash? You'd save yourself that $763 monthly payment. Now, what if you took just $550 of that difference and invested it every single month in a basic index fund earning 7% annual returns? After 6 years, you'd have accumulated over $52,000. Not in debt, in wealth, in actual money that belongs to you. But let's take this even further, because this is where the real ghost wealth appears. If you kept investing that $550 a month for 20 years instead of 6, that money would compound into over $275,000. And if you pushed it to 30 years, you'd be looking at over $650,000. Let that sink in. That car you bought to impress people at the office, it didn't cost you $45,000. It cost you over $500,000 in future wealth. You traded your financial freedom, your ability to retire early, your power to say no to jobs you hate, for 3 years of looking successful before the car starts feeling old and you get that itch to upgrade again. That is not a typo. This is the invisible cost. This is what the system doesn't want you to calculate. And here's the cruelest part of the trap. Even the happiness you bought is temporary. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. When you first get that new car, new watch, new apartment, there's a rush, a genuine high. But your brain adapts. Within weeks, sometimes days, that new thing becomes your baseline. The excitement fades, and you're right back where you started emotionally, except now you're poorer and more trapped. The consumer economy knows this. That's why they're already marketing the next model to you before you've even made your third payment. They need you on that treadmill. Your perpetual dissatisfaction is their business model. So how do you get off? How do you escape this trap when everyone around you is still running the race? Let me give you 3 practical steps that actually work. Step 1, the 4-question test. Before you make any purchase over $500, you need to interrogate it. Ask yourself these 4 questions, and you have to be brutally honest. Question 1, is this necessary for my health or safety? Not comfort, not convenience, actual health or safety. Question 2, is this vital for something essential in my life, like my job or my family's basic needs? Question 3, can I wait 30 days before buying this? If you can't wait 30 days, you're not making a rational decision, you're scratching an emotional itch. Question 4, do I have acceptable alternatives that cost less? Notice I said acceptable, not perfect. Perfect is the enemy of wealth. If you can answer these 4 questions honestly and the purchase still makes sense, then maybe it's worth it. But I'm willing to bet that 90% of the time, this test will stop you in your tracks. Step 2, the invisibility rule. This is the one that changed everything for me. Before any significant purchase, ask yourself this single question. Would I buy this if no one else would ever see it or know about it? If the answer is no, you're not buying a product. You're buying validation. You're purchasing someone else's opinion of you. And let me tell you something that's going to sting. Those people whose opinions you're buying, they're not thinking about you. They're too busy worrying about what you think of them. Everyone is so trapped in their own performance anxiety that nobody is actually watching your show. You're spending real money on an audience that doesn't exist. Step 3, redefine what success actually means. This is the philosophical shift that has to happen for anything else to stick. Stop measuring success by how you look and start measuring it by how much time you own. Calculate what I call your freedom number. Take your monthly expenses, multiply by 12 to get your annual cost of living, then multiply that by 25. That number. That's how much money you need invested to never have to work again, assuming a 4% withdrawal rate. For most people, it's somewhere between $500,000 and $1.5 million. Every dollar you spend on performative consumption is a dollar that's not moving you toward that number. Every car payment, every designer purchase, every overpriced apartment in the trendy neighborhood is pushing your freedom number further away. But here's what's beautiful. Every dollar you don't spend on impressing others is a dollar that buys back your time, your choices, your life. The real trap isn't financial, it's existential. When you build your life around impressing other people, you're outsourcing your identity. You're letting strangers and acquaintances define who you are and what you're worth. You wake up one day and realize you're living someone else's life. You're driving their car, living in their idea of a nice neighborhood, wearing their definition of success. And the sickest part? That person whose life you're trying to live? They don't exist. They're a Frankenstein monster stitched together from Instagram posts, childhood messages about what success looks like, and advertising that's been scientifically designed to make you feel inadequate. The question isn't how much money do you make or what kind of car you drive. The real question is, how many of your decisions are actually yours? How much of your life belongs to you versus the performance you think you need to put on? True wealth isn't a number in a bank account. True wealth is waking up and not having to pretend to be someone you're not. It's not owing explanations to anyone about your choices. It's the radical freedom that comes from realizing that the people you've been trying to impress are too busy trying to impress someone else to even notice you. Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The person you see in the mirror when no one else is watching, that's who you actually are. And that person deserves better than being a prop in someone else's fantasy of what success looks like. You're not a brand. You're not a lifestyle Instagram account. You're a human being with limited time on this planet. And every month you spend trapped in a car payment or a mortgage you can't afford or a job you hate because you need to maintain the image is a month you're not actually living. You're not trapped by the financial system. I mean, you are, but that's not the real prison. You're trapped by the need for approval from people who fundamentally don't matter to your actual happiness. And here's the most liberating thing I can tell you. You have the key. You've always had the key. The prison door was never locked. You just convinced yourself that walking out would mean admitting you were wrong, admitting you made mistakes, admitting that you bought things you didn't need to impress people you don't even like. But the moment you admit that, the moment you stop performing, the walls disappear. And you get to start building a life that's actually yours. If this video helped you see your finances differently, if it made you question even one purchase you were about to make, smash that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges how you think about money. Because this isn't just about budgets and spreadsheets. This is about taking back your life from a system designed to keep you running on a treadmill until you're too exhausted to remember what you were running toward in the first place. I'll see you in the next one.